Parenting a teenager with OCD. Hi, I'm Julie, and I've created an OCD workshop to help other parents support children, teenagers in particular, who are battling OCD. My background is I'm just an ordinary mum, and I've actually gone through the pain of trying to support my daughter with OCD. So I know from bitter experience what works and what doesn't when it comes to tackling OCD. So because I had so many parents contacting me for help and advice on how to support their teenagers with OCD, I decided to put together a workshop. Now, what I found was that a lot of parents found it hard to commit to a 3-hour workshop because obviously we're all busy, we all do jobs, and also supporting a teen with OCD can be time consuming in itself, and often you can't plan ahead, can you, for different appointments. So what I've decided to do, I've actually recorded a session onto the Teachable platform in the hope that it'll give you the feel that I'm there with you going through the workshop and helping you to find strategies to help your teenager with OCD by doing some of the things that work for me. So what's included in the workshop? There's over 90 minutes of videos in there. There's about 22 separate videos where I've actually tried to break it down into bite-sized training. There's some various tasks to do as well, so you get the feel of actually carrying out a workshop. There's slides, there's over 100 slides in there, and there's also audio tapes as well to correspond to the video, because I've tried to accommodate everybody's preferred way of taking information in. So what will this workshop help you to do? It will help you to identify what OCD is, so you can actually establish whether your child has actually got OCD as opposed to it being general anxiety or a habit. I cover how to get OCD diagnosed, because it is really important. The first part of the process is to get it officially diagnosed, and then they'll actually refer you for professional therapy. Now, as we all know as parents, waiting on that list for professional therapy can take forever, in which time OCD is so cunning and sly in its operation, it will have actually made your child's OCD a whole lot worse by the time you get therapy. So this got me thinking what I can do to help ordinary parents like myself to cope in the meantime. And the best way that I was taught to help my daughter with OCD and bring it out the other side was to start exposure therapy. Now, exposure therapy, also referred to as ERP therapy, or exposure and response prevention to give it its full name, involves exposing your child to their greatest fears without them carrying out compulsions. Now, I've got to stress, this is not a quick fix and it's not an easy fix. It's a type of therapy that's very, very effective, but very difficult to get a child on board doing, because it's going to make them feel very uncomfortable and very scared. So what I have done, within the workshop, I have covered and broken down various ways of carrying out exposure therapy, including reducing on compulsions, and also delaying compulsions, as well as putting up images on the wall. I cover all different ways that you can carry out exposure therapy, and I break it down into bite-sized pieces, because it's very important to stress that with exposure therapy, you need to take it at a pace your child is comfortable with, and generally that's going to be a very slow time frame, because my daughter, for example, it took us 4 years before she was actually able to lead a more normal life and go on to study in a dream university in London. So it's broken up into 3 sessions. The first session covers how to realise whether your child has actually got OCD and how to get diagnosed. The second section deals with how to introduce exposure therapy, even things, believe it or not, like communicating in the right way with OCD. There are better things you can say and worse things you can say to feed OCD. And then in the final section, the third session, I then go on to share ways to overcome challenges, because unless you're really, really lucky, you'll get a lot of resistance to therapy and a lot of challenges along the way. So I've actually covered ways then that work for me when it came to overcoming challenges. I also share how to keep their anxiety buckets from spilling over, because what I learned to my detriment was OCD very often manifests itself when a child's anxiety bucket overspills. So it's very important to keep anxiety levels low in order to manage OCD. I also teach you how to look out for other OCD themes creeping in, because sadly OCD is like a whack-a-mole game. The minute you actually tackle one issue, up pops another. So the minute you can actually see that another theme is creeping in, you'll know then how to tackle it straight away before it has a chance to grow and go out of control. And then at the end of the video then, there's just a little recap where I actually recap everything I've covered in the workshop. So like I said, there's over 90 minutes of video coverage and slides and audio tapes. But in reality, this will take a few hours for you to go through. And that's another reason why I put it onto the Teachable platform, because you'll be able to download it then and do it at your pace and your child's leisure. Because what you need to be doing is one exposure at a time, and at a time that's actually comfortable for your child, because it's important to stress, like a lot of other mental health illnesses, OCD thoughts can lead to suicide thoughts. So it's very, very important to be mindful of that and to only go at a pace that's comfortable with your child. So I hope that's given you an insight into what's covered in my Parenting a Teenager with OCD workshop. The price for the workshop is £45. I would have liked to have actually provided it free of charge, but obviously this is my full-time living now. I'm trying to make a living while also helping a lot of other parents in the process. To give you an example, when I was doing private therapy, I was paying £80 to £100 a session, and what I've tried to do is condense everything I've learned from private therapy and for 6 years now, because I still do this therapy with my daughter to manage and keep it under control, and I've tried to condense it into this workshop for you, so you've got all the tools at your disposal in one easy to follow workshop. So as I say, the one-off price is £45. It's covered by the Teachable 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you try and you think, you know what, this isn't for me, there is a no-quibble 30-day money-back guarantee. All right, so I hope I've covered everything. If you've got any further questions you'd like to ask me about my Parenting a Teenager with OCD workshop, please just pop it in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you as quickly as I can. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because I share tips on this a lot. And just pop a like, because it's always nice for me to know that what I'm sharing is helpful. So that's it for today's video on my workshop, and I hope it will help you when parenting your teen with OCD.